The Crotchety Old Men podcast is not a registered investment, legal, or tax advisor or a broker-dealer. All investment financial opinions expressed by or on the Crotchety Old Men podcast are from the personal research and experience of the owner of the site and are intended as educational material. Although best efforts are made to ensure that all information is accurate and up to date, occasionally unintended errors and misprints may occur. Before you invest or make any investment-based decisions, consider your own personal circumstances. You should do your own research and seek advice from a financial professional.
And hello again to the Crotchety Old Men podcast. Hi, I'm Gary Smith, your co-host. Your co-host. Well, yeah, I'm a co-host because I got a co-partner over there grinning at me. What's up, George? Top of the day to you.
Top of the day to you, Smitty. How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. Sun is out. The golf course is calling me, so it's a wonderful day today in the neighborhood.
Yeah, we're getting close to, they say spring, but we're getting close to summer. I think it's supposed to be 85 here today. So, yeah, every day is a good day. And, here again, every day is a good day to share information and education and expose our audience to more things that can help them in their day-to-day life and how to, how to budget and how to keep money. Like we talked about before, it's not what you make, but it's what you get to keep and spend for yourself. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today.
All right. Well, let's get into it then.
All right. So, just to kind of recap, just to make sure everybody's on point, your number one expense in your day-to-day life is taxes. Okay. So we just have to understand that. And obviously that's what makes the government work. That's what funds our government. But the least that we can pay in taxes is basically, our duty to do that research, because that's why they have a tax code. So you have to do your research and figure out which opportunities you can take advantage of legally so that you pay less taxes, okay, which puts more money in your pocket. So when you look at it from a income perspective, there's basically three types of income. There's earned income, there's portfolio income, and there's passive income. So let's kind of dissect and talk about each one of those. Let's talk about earned income first.
So now that earned income is typically what we know as wages, right? Wages are money that you earn on jobs, whatever is your employment. Earned income can come at any level. And so therefore anything that has to do with wages, salaries, tips, commissions, I mean, that would be considered what's known as your earned income, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Anything you're going to get a W-2 or 1099 is basically earned income. And you're going to pay taxes on it, depending on what tax bracket. If you're single and you don't have any deductions, you're going to probably be in one of the higher tax brackets. So, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if you get a raise. If you don't have any way to shelter some of that from the government, they're going to get the majority of your raise.
Right. With the people who receive 1099s, they do have some options, though, as opposed to the people who are on W-2. With a W-2, you don't even see your check until after the fact that the government and what have you has extracted their take. However, with a 1099, you do have some options, and most self-employed people or people with LLCs and things of that nature typically receive their monies in a 1099, which gives them a few options whereby they got some deduction for business expenses, etc. They can at least lower their tax, bill.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the second type is what we saw portfolio.
Yeah. Portfolio. I like that one.
Well, that's your stocks. You're selling your CDs, your stocks. You sell a stock, you buy a stock, and anything that you make on that stock, you're going to pay capital gains.
That's right. Now, George, let me ask this now. Does it matter when it comes to that capital gains? Does it matter how long you keep the stock? I mean, there are some people out there who are stock traders, so they're buying and flipping stock like people flip houses. So I got to imagine that has some impact. Or does it differ from people who own stock and they keep it for years?
No, that's one of the first things I point out to these day traders is that, you're paying a higher capital gains tax on it because any stock that you hold less than a year, you're putting yourself in a higher tax bracket. So that you have to take in consideration. So if you're making $10 and you sell that stock in less than a year, a larger portion of that is going to go towards taxes as opposed to if you make $10 and you keep that stock for a year.
Let's talk about this, because I know for our listeners, a lot of times you hear this terminology, capital gains tax, earned income tax. These are totally two different tax brackets. All right. Capital gains tax means just that. It's a capital gain that you've made on either the sale of a house or a product or a stock or what have you. And it's that gain that you've made less the interest of your investment. And there's three levels to that. You can either pay 20%, which is the maximum tax that you'll ever pay on a capital gain, or there's a 15% tax, or yes, ladies and gentlemen, there's a zero tax, which means that you can make hundreds of millions of dollars. And if it comes from the way of, like George is saying, through capital gains with rents and interest and taxes and fees and things that you're collecting, then those are taxed and can be based upon the amount of deductions you have and whittled down to where you pay zero taxes. The other one is earned income, like George was saying, the W-2s, all right? Those are wages and benefits and things of that nature. W-2s have 7 levels. 7 levels. So at the highest level is 37%, and at the lowest is at least 10%.
Yeah, all good information. That's the kind of information you need to know, when you start looking at your budget and like, where's all my money go? Most single people I talk to, they're like, yeah, man, I'm getting killed with these taxes. I say, yeah, unless you have a deduction, that's what's going to happen. That's it. And so that brings us to the third type, which is passive income. Okay. And, we talk about, taxing the rich. You hear that a lot. The rich need to pay more taxes. But, the rich or the wealthy, I like to use that word better. The wealthy is not in a earned income status, meaning they have a job where they're getting a W-2. It's not really going to impact them. So really, from a passive income perspective, trying to tax the wealthy is you're not really going to get the results of what you're really thinking about.
No, I mean, it's pretty easy math. Heck, even if you tax the wealthy at the maximum tax bracket, again, we just said it, 20% is the max. Well, heck, if you're getting a W-2, the max is 37. So it shows you right there the imparity. All right. There isn't any parity between the rich and the poor. All right. And that's why that gap continue to get wider and wider and wider, because we're not creating enough passive income. And that's got to be your focus on your financial planning for your family, for your future, and the generation that's coming up behind us, is to position ourselves to get more passive income by way of interest and rents and things of that nature, and less earned income.
You got some examples of passive income?
Oh, absolutely. One is triple net leasing real estate, and that's on the commercial side. And I know that's for a specific segment of our audience, but let's just break it down to something even simple as owning a rental property. That's going to be passive income, all right? Because if you got a good tenant that's paying your rent, whether you got debt on that property or not. Let's say, for instance, you do have debt. Just keeping this real short, sweet, and simple. You have debt. You're getting collecting $1,000 a month. But you have a note, and you have water and taxes and insurance to pay for the property. All of those are tax deductible items, so you deduct that. All right, and so that right there, what is left after you make those deductions, I usually say at 40%. So at 40%, that's $400. You net $600. That $600 is coming to you passively. You don't have to do anything for that $600. Okay, the person who lives in that dwelling, you're sending them to work, and every morning when they go to work, they're going to work so they can specifically pay you that $600. Really, I mean, it's $1,000, but they're actually going to work every day so they can make sure they pay you that $600 passively every month. So that's passive income. All right, and that's income that is not taxed at the ordinary tax bracket of 37% or what have you. Wonderful thing. So I like that in real estate. Another passive income would be the interest that you receive off of maybe making a loan to someone or lending money or something like that. Interest that you may receive like on a bond. Bonds pay interest. That's passive income. All right. And so those incomes, and that's what a lot of the wealthy do. They don't buy a whole lot of stock, but they do buy a lot of bonds. Why? For the creating and receiving that interest. And too often, I think, George, we only hear the one side of the story. Oh, buy stock, get in there and get the stock. You hardly ever hear anybody telling you about buying bonds. And you brought
Right.
it up here on the Crotch of the Old Men. So you heard it first, probably heard it first on the Crotch of the Old Men when George talked about I bonds.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And those are government bonds. Those are insured. Those aren't going anywhere.
Yeah. So when you talk about safety, when you talk about security, when you talk about predictability, stability and predictability has got to be two words that you want to make sure that you build your financial program on a strong foundation. Being predictable, knowing that that interest payment is coming each and every month. You can't do that with dividends on a stock. It's up to the board of directors to decide whether or not they're going to issue a stock or not. But with bonds, you're guaranteed some interest.
Yeah,
Okay.
because you're buying debt. That's basically what you're doing. You're buying
Absolutely.
debt. So that's the interest on the debt that you're purchasing. So that puts you in a position to receive those financial gains when the bonds are come due, whether they're quarterly, yearly, or 5-year bonds. So yeah, you're basically financing government debt.
And what you want to do, ladies and gentlemen, is invest in debt. That's what the rich does. The wealthy invest in debt. All right. Don't believe that garbage about bad, yeah, there's bad debt. Don't get me wrong. That's not garbage. Yeah, you can get yourself in trouble by using bad debt. But I look at the financial situation, industry, or debt is like a double-edged sword. Okay. It can be good if you know how to use it, and it can be horrible if you don't. Okay.
We did a podcast on that too. So go back to our library and look at about that one, good debt and bad debt.
There
But
you
let me
go.
ask you this, Smitty. Okay, so I know a lot of people are looking at where they can put their money right now with interest rates going up. And right now you have a situation where CDs are becoming more popular. I think I saw one in the paper the other day pays like 5%. Is that a good investment?
I figure right now, unless you got somewhere else you can get 5% without the risk, we always have to look at, and I always advise people to do this. If you got an opportunity and three of them are all paying the same amount of interest, all right, then the only thing that's going to decipher between which one you choose is which one. Number one, how soon can I get my money out of it? Okay, how liquid it is, can I get to it? All right, and which one's going to necessarily give me the highest return? I mean, well, if they all give me 5%, it's not the highest return, but it's the liquidity of it. And the main thing, the liquidity and the safety and the stability, which when I say safety, I'm talking about stability and the predictability of what I'm going to get. See, I like income, not if come. And if come is that stuff that you don't know what the check is going to be the next month, or you don't know how much interest you're going to make. You don't want to get in those positions. At least try to avoid them at best you can.
Right. And so one of the things I always talk about that people are looking at that is use the ladder approach. Okay. And the ladder approach is basically if you got $3,000, you may want to put $1,000 in the CD for 6 months, and you may want to take another 1,000 and put it in for a year, and then you may want to take another 1,000 and put it in for 18 months. That way it matures at a certain time limit, and you still have access to your money. You're not tying all your money up at the same time.
Right. Another thing to that, and if you do the 6 months, hopefully you're able to roll it over without incurring any tax.
If you don't need it, roll it over.
Just keep rolling it over, keep rolling it over. Therefore, you avoid that tax because otherwise you end up into that short-term situation and you're not paying tax on that gain. So you want to continue to roll it over and then take advantage. We talked about this before too. Compounded interest, dollar cost averaging.
Dollar cost averaging, definitely. That's one of my favorites.
So I think the bottom line here, George, what we're saying pretty much is that money is called cash flowing currency for a reason. You got to keep it circulating. You got to keep your money moving. If your money's somewhere right now, if it's sitting somewhere, it's costing you more money than it's making. It should never sit. And it's no different than us. And money is to the financial life what blood is to our life. If we sit around too long, your blood doesn't circulate, you're going to have illnesses. You got to keep moving. And so does the money.
All right, that sounds good. All that stuff sounds good. So let's share with our audience, one of what I feel is one of the safest investments, and that's life insurance. Life insurance is basically, and we're talking about whole life and variable life. It's it's guaranteed interest. They're going to pay you on a annual basis. It's either 4%, 5%. It could be 3%, 4%, 5%, but it's guaranteed. Okay. Life insurance is one of the few tools that you can actually take the money out and not be taxed on it. government doesn't really like life insurance because they can't make any money off it. As we talked about earlier, government, they need tax money to operate. So if you're operating in the life insurance realm, you're basically under the radar. But it's all legal. It's all legal. So definitely look at life insurance. That's a one that you can build wealth. You can borrow it from yourself. You can pay it back. It's called overfunding. Okay, you can overfund a life insurance policy. For example, if you're in your 30s, you can buy probably a life insurance policy, run you $30 to $60 a month, but you can overfund that. You can put $200 or $300 in there. That becomes your money.
Sometimes the things that are so simple and easy to do becomes easy not to do. Because getting a life insurance policy, particularly a whole life insurance policy, we've been highly encouraging people to do this for as long as not only the podcast, but as far as our professional lives. And when it comes to life insurance, you buy life insurance for one of two reasons: because you love someone or you owe someone. All right. And typically, most people just buy life insurance because we love someone. And that's the way it's been sold. But here, what George and I are sharing with you today is that life insurance is also a stable investment tool. Okay. And something whereas that the stability and the liquidity. All right. That whereas by that, as you overfund that policy, now when it comes time, if you want to make another investment, if you want to send a child to school or you want to do anything else, and you don't have to worry about the banks. You can go into your own pile of cash, what I call it, and by taking a loan from your policy, you don't pay any taxes on it, use it however you want to use it, and then pay yourself back because you're going to want to have some money again. So you want to put that money back in there. And a regular, going back to what you said, George, overfunding it again, putting more money into it, and that's that you're still taking advantage of that dollar cost averaging. And during that accumulation phase, you're not paying any taxes on that money.
Good stuff. All good stuff. Well, hopefully our audience has learned something today. Right now, everybody's in a financial crunch and trying to figure out what to do with their money. So hopefully we've given them some tips on what you can do as far as from a safe investment, something that's going to allow you to take more money home and, continue to do the things that you want to do. What you going to send us home today with, Gary?
Well, when you said that last statement, when people being in a financial crunch and with the information that we're giving them, we try to get them out of those crunches, right?
Absolutely.
So all we want you to do is think and grow rich.
There you go. There you go. More information. There you go.
Yeah,
Keep learning.
It. Keep learning. Keep learning. Keep learning. We give you all we can in a short 15 and 20 minutes here on the Thecrotchetyoldmen Old Men podcast. But in between times and stuff, you want to keep learning.
That's right.
Subscribe to those. And there's a lot of free information out there other than YouTube. Okay. Other than YouTube. They call it YouTube University. But however, there's also called private schools.
There you go.
Okay. So,
good.
Think education. All right.
All right. So as we always say on the Thecrotchetyold Old Man, if you didn't know,
now
you know. Take care, man. Right. Be safe.
Peace.
Peace.
This is Dr. Paul Clemens with the Thecrotchetyoldmen Old Men podcast. If you're interested in financial tools to build wealth, and you're interested in ways to maximize your health through holistic alternatives, then you are just the audience that we're looking for. Tune in each week, every Thursday, to the Thecrotchetyold Old Men podcast, where George Crumley, Gary Smith, and I offer you in-depth discussions on health and wealth. Subscribe to the Thecrotchetyold Old Men podcast on Google, Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your favorite podcast.